Welcome to the Tuesday Triggers podcast. Super excited for this session. We have the incredibly talented CEO of a great partner of ours and a tool that we've used for a long time, Margaret from Woodpecker. Margaret, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. And I'm super excited to be here. So thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, no worries. Again, the whole point of this is always to bring on really smart and talented people, but also tools that we use as an agency that have helped us scale. And Woodpecker's always been part of that mix. But for those that don't know exactly what Woodpecker is, do you want to give like a quick rundown or a lengthy rundown, whatever you want?
Sure, absolutely. I will try to keep it brief. So we are sales automation software. We automate sending cold email campaigns. And the biggest value is that, in my personal opinion, we have one of the best agency panels on the market in terms of like full separation of databases. We are targeted for agencies, lead gen agencies. And yeah, I'm happy to share that we have also one of the best deliverabilities that you can get. So 10 years of backup in terms of how to make your messages delivered.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that, I think I found out about you guys like must have been like 2018 or something. And then, one of my good buds, Miles Veth, I know works with you guys exclusively for hundreds of clients now. He's worked with you guys primarily, and it's because your guys' tool is awesome. It really is super effective at deliverability. We use it a lot specifically around our European campaigns. But maybe you could talk about that. Like, let's chat about, some of the things that make Woodpecker so successful in the EU or in general. I know you mentioned a couple differentiators, but would love to chat about that a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. And, one of my favorites. So how to function in the crazy European market with all the stuff that are out there.
Totally.
Um, so let's put aside, the aspect of deliverability as it is because it's international, of course, so it doesn't have boundaries. But the European market is specific because of GDPR, privacy, and a ton of other regulations that we have. This is very specific because people react to cold outreach a bit different. So what I have in mind is that people are a bit more sensitive in terms of like if you don't comply with everything that is out there. And Woodpecker has built-in modules that take care of the whole process of like letting someone, so your prospect, to take away the data. So like hashing process that keeps you safe. And it's like, if you're from the States, probably it doesn't sound that exciting. But when you think about that from a perspective of PR and your image, if you give this option to like prospect that is from EU, you get higher chances of not being marked as spammer because you comply with every regulation that is there and they have option to remove their data permanently from your system. So that gives a bit of control. It means that they're not getting that much triggered. And if you're targeting countries like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, or even like the awareness grows in like different parts of Europe. So for example, the Netherlands or Denmark, you should really think about that because if you're not following that path, you may see this odd behavior that your results are dropping and you see a lot of spam reports for a particular region. It's not necessarily like your content only or deliverability matters. It may be the case that people just freak out because they don't get enough control over the data. Plus, we also keep the blacklisting safe for you. So like we have this whole like opting out process. If someone clicks, they can select if they want to like hash their data, so anonymize. And then you have the like fully GDPR compliant list in your system. So that takes care of the process.
Yeah, which is huge. And like realistically, especially when we're doing campaigns entirely into Europe, which we have a team dedicated to just our European campaigns, we see a much higher success rate with a much lower volume of emails. But as long as you're being thoughtful around everything that you had mentioned, right? So if you're being like kind of loose with it and, and not really sticking to the rules, you're right. People, especially in like, Germany and some of those types of countries, they're like, yeah, spam. Like, no, you're not like playing by the rules, like knock it out. So I think that that's a really thoughtful angle and approach. In terms of like just deliverability as a whole, I'm sure you see everything and like what are your thoughts on the changes like in October and November? There was some really big issues delivering to Microsoft that I don't think we're totally out of the woods yet, although we're seeing a lot of bouncing
Yeah.
back. Um, where do what do you think about that, and where do you see like the next year going?
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting part. And I try to think about it from a perspective if you're like Microsoft or Google and you would be like project manager of their inbox, probably your ultimate goal would be to keep only relevant messages out there because like your paying customers would expect that. So this is kind of like the interest that is there. What means that, in my opinion, there is like a full shift to this smaller ICPs focusing on just, targeting relevant people in the right time, not necessarily doing like overcrowded personalization. Of course, if something works for a business, it means it works, so it's not stupid. So sticking with that.
Yeah,
But also like a month ago or a bit longer maybe, we have analyzed like a really big bunch of mails that were sent to Microsoft and from Microsoft and the other way around. And actually, the interesting thing is that the only way to get out if you're like really low in terms of the situation, so you get like even 100% bounces is the most hardcore you can get from Microsoft, is to change your behavior. So to stop, to switch what you send, to change content, and to try like very low to improve it because they have some system that basically assigns you to a particular pool of IPs, most likely. Of course, no one knows unless you guys have some people that works in Microsoft and ask them. But it's all about changing patterns. We try to automate it. So for example, we have adaptive sending that catch the signals and stops you before you like commit deliverability wise suicide. But like there is always an option. But it's
yeah.
interesting. And I think like personalization and relevancy, this is something that you need to measure to be on the safe side right now.
Oh, yeah, that's the never-ending problem. I mean, it's so funny because even like, 18 months ago when AI was coming out and I was
Yeah.
using before Clay was around and I was building personalizations in GPT for Sheets and it was like, man, this is mind-blowing. Now it's like almost having if you it's having a reverse effect, right? Bad personalizations are like, okay, yeah, thanks. You know that my company is doing X, Y, and Z, but that's not
Right?
relevant to my buying at all. And so it's starting to once again, like in this very cyclical manner, like just absolutely reverse. And I think that, again, we've even seen that, like some of the filters that are picking up on AI written stuff, right? Like even those are getting tightened and loosened and tightened. Um, it's crazy because there's no one knows what's the secret sauce is behind it, but I do know some people in the know, and they will never tell me. They're like the people that work in like the like league of blacklists, and they've got these like secret conversations, and he's like, dude, I'm in that group, and you'll never hear anything that we know, like will never leave these walls. But anyways, I digress. The challenges that we forever face. So do you think it's going to get like significantly harder in the next year? Do you think it will remain relatively kind of stable with little blips? What's your kind of prediction for 2025?
I think that overall, with AI being in place and stuff like this, it will not be easier, definitely. I don't think it will be like hardcore, like, cold email just died. I mean, I personally survived like 9 deaths of cold emailing, so I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I don't think it will get much easier. So, looking from a perspective that the ultimate goal of email providers is to get relevant content in the inbox and the whole placement, how much you come back to the message reply and stuff like this and scoring you as provider. It's a bit like bidding in ads or something like this. So the most positive feedback you give to the provider, the better you are in terms of like how you are placed in the inbox. So it's a bit like auction, at least when I think about it.
Yep.
It will be probably that direction. So, I don't think it will be a game for people who just want to have like silver bullet and, you apply this framework and it works like never ends and stuff like that. You need to think through your processes, but I don't think it will get like extremely harder than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's you're right. I think there is going to be some blips probably like October, November again to delivering to Outlook, but I don't think it's certainly not going to become an impossible thing, right? Cold email will stay, just like cold calling has stayed. I mean, again, if we're going in cycles, we might all be writing having robots write handwritten letters in a year, which I've been saying for like since 2018. It's going to get back to that, and it is to some degree. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just going to be the continued game of cat and mouse into 2025. So, um, tell me this. Let me know some of the secret sauce. What's on the roadmap for Woodpecker? What kind of features are you guys looking into or thinking about building, or marketplace style things? Like what do you think the direction is headed for Woodpecker?
Sure, absolutely. Few cool things that we have released already, but they're in beta, so we will grow them. One of them is related to buying domains and mailboxes. We currently have like one partnership as like engine for that, but we'll add extra ones. We are trying also to automate the process for Microsoft and for Google, but in a bit smarter way than it has been done until now. So we're working on that. We have just released Lead Finder to all of our users, and this is like a waterfall. So we have People Data Labs, Prospero, the Tagma, ICPs, and many others plugged in. But you don't pay for every source, so you just like pay once and we search out there for you. So this is like a new cool thing. We'll add free validation there. So like you don't have to pay for validating your leads. And another thing I'm really excited about is catch-all validation, which is also free at Woodpecker. So you can manage like how risky you want to send. You don't have to pay extra for anything because we validate all you send from us. So like that's another angle on that. And there is a lot of plans like giving better multi-channel and all stuff around like text messages maybe. So, going deeper into that.
Nice.
Plus warm up, because this is something like I know there are opinions and opinions, but I'm not sure like with the volume you have right now, what will be the future of warm up. So we will try to experiment and give like ramp up modes that will let you to send significantly earlier than you can now. And the whole angle around that. And of course, support for copy. So just like if you don't want to figure out the millionth version of your email, we'll do it for you. A lot of exciting stuff. So I'm really hyped up and I wait for Q1 2025 to see it's going live.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Who do you think is the best candidate to use Woodpecker in 2025?
Sure. So every feature we do while thinking about lead gen agencies. This is like a clear statement. We don't have better customer than lead gen agencies. And like starting with agency panel, we have full separation of databases. So if like for one client you change something, you don't automatically change it for all other clients. So full separation there. We have statistics on agency level, on account level, and we'll follow that path. The other group are sales teams because they are to some extent sometimes similar to lead gen agencies because they also use the benefit of separation and content. And because I know that the business is very ROI sensitive, so we also gonna offer a flat fee plans starting from January, so that if someone struggled through 2024, because I know that was a heavy year, you can look up the price with us just to be on the safer side. So yeah, but of course, we welcome all like smaller companies, so cold emailers. Just our ICP is lead gen agency.
Amazing. Margaret, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. We're going to be making some more content. We'll be giving a little deep dive to the Tuesday Triggers group. So we'll be dropping a bit more on that. But outside of that, it's been a pleasure chatting.
Absolutely, that was awesome. Thanks a lot.